Welcome to episode 4 of the Dani Ariza podcast. Today I'm with Chris Slate from Slate Fitness. He's not just a special guest, but he's also a really good friend. And I have to say that I really missed you. It's been a while.
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you for having me on the show. I miss you as well. You know, you and I have such great history through the years, and it's such a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. And listen, not just because I wanted to catch up with you. I invited you not just because I wanted to catch up with you, but because, look, you have run a successful business for a long time.
Yeah, 25 plus years as a health and fitness professional, strength and conditioning coach, There's so many hats to when you have to run your own private practice or your business. But again, the longevity and through the years, the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs, and all of the, trials and tribulations of that, and having staying power. I think that starts with really having a passion for wanting to have a positive impact on others, and leading by example and making a real difference in whether it be family, community, just.
And I think you said something very important, staying power. Because, look, I met you in 2007, I think, 2008. Yeah. And since I met you, had the Great Recession, 2008.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Had COVID.
Yep.
Which was very difficult for especially in your industry.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah. I feel like there was another big, I hate to use the term tragedy, but when you think about it, early 2000s, obviously, it was 9/11. Right. The 2008, the housing market crash. I guess then the next big one, maybe I'm missing somewhere in the teens there somewhere. Mm-hmm. There's always something going on out there, right? And finding our way to be able to work through adversity. But I don't think anyone has ever experienced anything like what we did with the pandemic.
The pandemic was rough, and I think that was the last time I saw you in 2020 when I went up to.
That's right. Came up to the house.
Yeah.
To visit with the family, but also to shoot and capture that moment in time, because we had just bought the house, I believe, in 2019. Which interest rates were great at that time. And it was sort of our escape from the city, being from New York City, living, my wife and I settling in Brooklyn, and then with our son London just being born at that time. As much as we love New York City, it's also nice to get out of town.
Yeah.
So if it's not, LaGuardia, Newark, or JFK, it's also just like jumping in the car. You're either heading out east to the beach or you're heading up to the mountains. So that was, and being that my family is from out east anyway, it was nice for us to get something up north, not too far
you're
outside
from
of the city.
Long Island, right?
Yeah, all the way out east in the Hamptons, North Fork to be specific, in a little town called Greenport. Many moons ago, as I said, as a professional in New York City for 25, pushing 30 years now. So that was, but still find time, especially during the warm season, to head out to the beach.
So how did you, how did you survive the pandemic? Being in the fitness industry, you couldn't, one moment you're like, hey, I can't really train people.
Yeah, we all got the word from Cuomo. We remember that day like to be honest with you, like it was yesterday. 5 years has passed. Does it really feel like 5 years?
Yeah,
you just blink and it's like, boom, right? So I think that initially everyone just wanted to, what was most important to you, right? So I've always put family first. And that was my number one priority at that particular time. And the city, New York City, all five, it just wasn't a very popular place at that time. Mm-hmm. I think, the first couple of weeks, whatever, we're just kind of like, it's almost like an extended vacation.
Yeah.
We're not taking it as serious as it really is. No one really has a clue of what's going on. And then the next thing it's 3 months later and you're still trying to figure out what the hell is going on here. My wife, she's in music, which, all of music, fashion, film, a lot of industries have gone digital. So she was able to work remotely. But my business is very hands-on, as you know.
Yeah.
I actually trained Danilo for the New York Marathon. What year was that? 2000?
14.
2014.
I wasn't always this fat. Okay.
Come on, don't let him fool you. Don't let him fool you.
I'm very athletic.
That's right. That's right. You've seen him out on the golf course. He's got quite the swing.
Yeah.
So getting back to just being hands-on was always my nature, and so that transition to virtual, which wasn't always a thing. Let's be honest. I honestly think that the pandemic pushed that quite a bit. Interestingly, I would go to conferences, conferences all over the country, all over the globe, but one in particular in Scottsdale, Arizona, that we go to every fall each year. And you get your keynotes, you get your workshops, you get your courses. It's a big community, all of that. But of course, it's all about pushing the education and excelling. From a business side, but also the educational side of it. And I recall a very dear friend of mine at the time who at that time was very unpopular. It was like online training. And everybody was like, what is that?
Yeah.
And now look, I mean,
it's basically it.
Big time. I mean, look how Peloton has brought it to you at home. They did extremely well during the pandemic. And there's a host of others that have done the same. And now with social media platforms, we have, it gives, trainers, coaches, pretty much anyone, the ability to connect with people anywhere at any time. I mean, in years past, I would be, if I was on vacation, then I'm not training, right? Because I'm away. Yeah. Or if clients are traveling, they're away. So, you can do remote coaching, or you can, we've always had email and so forth, but again, not that hands-on approach. Whereas now I have studios set up just as you guys do here with, equipment, and then Amazon obviously makes it very easy for my clients to be able to get that same equipment, and so that those program designs line up with what's
pretty
they're
cool.
seeing.
So you're able to basically just set up and be like, hey,
I have clients in Madrid right now. I have clients in London right now. I have clients in LA right now, Miami right now. I've been training virtually. That is a service that we offer, Slate Fitness, and we've been doing that since the beginning of time. And interesting. I should say beginning of time, meaning after. Right. Yeah. 2020. Yeah. The world changed after that. But even where it's hybrid, where you have some people who are actually on site and those who are actually remote.
Oh, nice.
If you're doing a group fitness class, so you can offer that. But again, I have to be honest with you. I'm old school, and it's all about hands-on for me.
Makes a big difference. I mean, I probably.
But you got to give people options.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because everyone's different.
That's right.
Everyone's completely different. I remember, back then when we were training, like it was nice for me to be able to just go and see you.
Right.
And
of
just
course. That human connection. Yeah.
Because I was in between the whole like, hey, I don't really want to do this.
Yeah.
and
it's like, you got to be able to. That energy is so important. But I think we've learned how to kind of translate that a little bit to the camera as well. But I guess to answer your question, my business initially had taken a back seat because it was a very concerning time, especially when you have a pandemic.
And sorry to interrupt you, because that's actually, you hit a point, and that's my next question. It's like mentally, I mean, I remember having some conversations with you back then, but like, mentally, and this is not just for you, but as a business as a whole, like, and I always ask this question to everyone, say, how did you handle the adversity at that time? Because it's rough. I mean, it's a scary for it. In New York City, like you said, it was just basically your one moment you cannot, like, streets are full, and then it's like there's no one.
So there's a genuine concern for your health.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like the most important. And here I am in wellness, right? And now we're ordered to stay away from each other. Something that was never, just again, that was a very difficult time, to be honest. But I think for me, the birth of my son, was the grace, through the grace of God, and the house. Yeah. So being a city cat, you know what I mean? And now having this, and by the way, we decided to leave New York and go up to the house. Yeah. And we lived there for 2 years during the pandemic, for those really difficult
Yeah.
that difficult time. Don't make no mistake about it. Did I quote unquote take business trips into town? My Wednesday was a Monday. My Thursday was a Friday. There was nothing going on.
Yeah.
But I would still make the effort, right? But then up at the house, building a relationship with the house. You know, as a homeowner, I mean, the house is a living, breathing thing.
Yeah.
The land, right? The infrastructure, being a new father, you know, being in a new environment. Although I will say living upstate like Kingston, Woodstock made it easy because a lot of cats are from Brooklyn up there anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice style, yeah.
Yeah, you know, like the vibe was cool because a lot of people from New York were doing the same thing. Our timing just happened to be really good, so that was great. But again, you're in a different environment. You're going from not city to suburban, you're going from city to rural.
Yeah, rural, yeah.
Yeah, and again, building a relationship with the house and making it ours, you know. So that's where I kind of got lost in that, if you will. Like, you know how you throw yourself into something as an artist or what have you, find something that you know, that became that focal point. And then, you know, as you're trying to figure out, okay, what are we going to do here?
Yeah, and you know what? It's amazing why you said it. A house is a living, breathing thing. And for many people, they don't realize that when they buy a house, you know, it changes your life. I wouldn't say the same way as a kid, but it's basically kind of like your baby.
It is, absolutely.
And you're like, there's so much pride. And, you know, I was having a conversation with someone yesterday. And I was telling her, look, you know, the moment, because she's right now in a small apartment where she feels uncomfortable, it's like, hey, yes, you're going to end up paying more. You might be uncomfortable. But the moment that you go into this house with much more space, things are going to open up. It's amazing how it just pushes you and makes you just a much better person.
Absolutely.
Of course, you know, finances come into it, but it's
It's
nice
an adjustment, right?
It's nice when you go into.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's nice. And I mean, I gotta say, but that house up there, that creek. I mean, you can get lost in your house over there.
And we've been able to explore so much more with, you know, just the area. And add capital improvements.
Is it still a lot of people up there, or has it changed? Like how
I
people
think
come
that
back?
it's balanced out. I mean, it was out of control there for a while.
Yeah.
You know, you're in real estate. You understand people were pulling up to the door offering cash double of what the home was, you know, worth. Like what we got the house for initially and where it is today. I'll give you an example. There's a couple across the street from Soho who bought their place a year after we bought their place. They got their house just under 4 and it sold over 1 million inside of 4 years.
Yeah.
And the cat who bought the house initially, and it was a small cottage too. I don't even remember when you pull in.
I remember very well.
Yep.
I got pictures.
And so he was from England, but his family they were carpenters, so he had some skill set. But there were things that you bring contractors in on, and then there's some things that you can DIY. I mean, that's certainly what we did to kind of put our touch on it and our collective vision. And so with capital improvement, which just you know increases the value of the home and also the quality of the time that you spend there. So it's you know, with time and with care.
Yeah, it's a beautiful town too.
Yeah,
all over there. It's a beautiful
Kingston,
town.
the Stockade district there. On the other side of the mountain, you've got, you know, historic Woodstock, and then across the river you have Rhinebeck, which is beautiful, Stone Ridge. And yes, there has been a lot of development since you know, and I can see that is continuing. I have friends from LA now who are, I mean, think about what they just went through. Yeah. Okay, who are buying places in Red Hook and so forth, because if you think about it, it's kind of designed, or the landscape is very similar to what they have there. Maybe it's just not as dry, but let's definitely keep it wet.
Now let's talk about like who are your clients? I mean, I know you dealt with a bunch of people.
So I'm what you consider, or what you would call, quote unquote, celebrity trainer. But when I say that, I mean that in the sense that have I worked with high profile athletes, you know, Hollywood celebrities, musicians, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, you know, you name it. You know, I'm not a name dropper. I'm not going to get into all of that. But if
and they probably don't want you to name drop.
Nah, it's just you know, me. To be honest with you, as I've gotten older, I've gotten a lot more low key. Yeah. You know, I mean, when we met, the Chelsea Piers Equinox New York Sports Club days when I was working with a lot of the big clubs and just starting my private practice, and I had just signed the talent, contract, got the agent with Paradigm and with Boss Models, and was, going out on auditions and, doing all the callbacks and, the soap operas and the reality shows and all the magazines, TV commercials and all that. When you're when you're a kid, whatever, or teens, 20s, early 30s, you think that's everything.
That's everything.
Yeah, but again, you get married, you have a family, you got, you have children, you have mortgage.
Yeah.
I don't know. My perspective is just different now. I'm not discounting anyone's career path or career choice. But for me, it became less about the spotlight and more about this practice that I honestly feel like is my purpose.
Yeah.
So it was like spending.
Yeah, because listen, being your client at one point and just always seeing you, you are. I think you still are this way, but I don't remember ever seeing you. You had some downtimes, that kind of feeling down,
We're all human.
But you were always positive.
Yeah, the power of positive thinking.
Yeah,
the world is already. I don't know if we're allowed to use foul language on this show.
No, yeah, of course.
The world's fucked up enough as it is,
Yeah.
man. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to look far to see that, unfortunately. But so I've made a conscious choice to, no matter what the circumstances are, to think positive. And try to find the silver lining, even on the days when it's really difficult. And I always try to put myself in someone else's shoes. That's the thing, It's that if you really want to help someone and understand where they're coming from, put yourself in their shoes. Then I always people, how do you train people? I train people as if I train you as if I was training you, I'm training me as I'm. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But that's it. So give me. We're gonna have a deep conversation about everything in terms of background, so that I can have a clear understanding of where you're coming from, where you stand, where what's important to you, and then once we have a clear picture of that, now we know how we want to move forward together. The accountability, all that's leadership, accountability, and really getting into it. We talked about the consistency and the discipline, even if it's on the days when you don't feel like it, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that starts with me. I've always felt that way. You have coaches, you have instructor, and you have train, but it starts with you. Here's one for you. And I tell my son this all the time. The best example of leadership is your own personal one.
Yeah.
So the things that you do each day when you wake up and you get off your ass and get on your feet, that, and every choice throughout the day, and at the end of the day when you look back and say, okay, what did we accomplish today? And then with each week that passes and with each month, a year goes by like this.
Flies.
It flies, man, because training comes down to, everything is incremental. Like if you want to really see progress and results, it's got to be like that, right? And that comes down to what? Your time, which is the most important commodity that every single person, now you can get money comes and goes, but how you spend your time, who you spend your time with, and how efficient you are with that time. Those are the things that are going to really make a difference.
Yeah, no, I think you said it where like, you treat everyone, you put yourself in their shoes.
Amen.
And I was talking about that with my friend here, Mike, because he was asking me somewhere along the lines, like, what do I do different than other mortgage lenders? And it's really just being able to put myself in the buyer's shoes and realizing that, no, this is what it is, a transaction for this side, just another paycheck. Mm-hmm. It's really their life, and it's a huge life altering. It's basically, and that's something that I always do. And I think, I think I learned that from dealing with you for so many years and really dealing at Chase, where it's like, if you put yourself in their shoes, you realize that you need to do what's best for them.
That's right.
and you always you take that long-term approach, and you're not thinking, hey, let me just get this done over with and that's, it's like, hey, what makes sense for this person long-term? And I mean, in your case, it kind of forces you, because you're not going to do, like, it's not like you train one day and then immediately you lose 20 pounds.
This is result-driven business, and it's over a period of time. When it comes down to performance, you really have to look at, like, okay, again, aside from all the integrity stuff, right? You want to talk about reputation and how it precedes you. If you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing, it speaks for itself. Yeah. Right? So we all get the same 24 hours, right? What you want to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, I think I would call you more than a trainer. I think it's more like a life coach.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. And, because look, I mean, fitness and golf, really a lot of sports, but
sports and fitness fall hand in hand. You know,
it's basically life. That's how it is in business life.
That's
where
right.
we go through these
and how
cycles.
they correlate. There's so many. I mean, why do you think sports is so coveted? Why do you think these guys on the tour making so much money?
Yeah.
Okay, because the margin for error is like this. I don't even think it's that in golf. It's like, right? But all sports, and when you're playing at such a high level, and what's on the line. Right, but what that really connects to the fan or the viewer or the sponsors and everybody else who's involved, from management to ownership, whatever, okay, to the locker room, across the board, is how it connects with people. We're just using sports as an example right now, but that's the thing that speaks to us all, right? Because that can be broken down into no matter what I don't care what you do for a living, or it could be, you could be working from home, you could be raising your children, you could be a clerk at a whatever. How you move and how you pay attention to detail and actually how, putting your best foot forward and all that, Not to make it like about winners and losers, but like it's mindset, really.
Yeah. It's just taking the long-term approach.
Yeah, and I honestly feel like failure is feedback.
Yeah,
failure is good. You actually learn something by failing. By not trying, you learn nothing.
You gotta get some. You gotta put yourself in a situation where momentum starts driving.
How many deals? How many deals have you done, or relationships, or let's use just even helping someone get a house, for example. I'm sure there's some that fall through for whatever reason. They might decide to go a different direction, or their financing didn't work out, but you didn't give up on that. You still, the end game is still the same. So it's like, how are we going to maneuver in order to really get them to this happy place, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it is families mostly. I mean, anybody buys homes. It can be for investment reasons, whatever the case may be. But wouldn't you say, percentage-wise, is it 9 out of 10?
No, I mean, it's definitely like 7
out of 10.
Yeah. I mean, really, like, this is, anybody that starts hitting like 34, 35, it's like, okay. They get married, have kids, right? All those things, and they, it's
the whole ideal of home, right? And why something like that is so important, so that they have something to work towards and to be able to build on.
And you know what? It takes a while. It takes work nowadays. It takes work to buy a home.
It's a lot harder now than it was in the old days. That's for sure.
And sometimes, I always tell people, look, sometimes you might not be ready now, but I bet you that if you follow what I tell you, you're going to be ready later.
That's right.
And that's something that, you need to, it comes out, a lot of what I do in business comes from sports and comes from training. Like, the marathon, my trip for the marathon, it was something that...
Think about each mile.
Yeah.
Right? And each mile and how that equated to, again, we talked about this earlier before the show, on the amount of time that you invested in yourself to even be able to get to the start line.
Yeah.
Okay? And the amount of miles that required. Forget about the 26.2 and showing up on Marathon Sunday and being able to get to the finish line. It's, day in, day out, week in, week out, and strategy. So again, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
How that connects to, so what does this business week look like? Who
Getting hurt.
Right?
Yeah, getting hurt.
Being able to persevere or work through adversity, treatment, and finding ways to continue to move forward even though there are setbacks.
Yeah.
Okay, these are all, it's all the same.
Yeah.
It's funny we're talking about all this because I'm at a stage in the game now. I'm in my 50s now. I'm not competing anymore, right? Like college, playing ball, high school, college, and even in I guess the industry that I'm in is very competitive, so that's the whole. I guess that's the game now, if you will. But always want to make sure that I'm at my best with that. But to be honest with you, like I said this earlier, like I just want to be like most amazing dad I can possibly be. Your kids are watching, man.
You know what
they're
it
watching.
Is? Kids just they ground you, and I know many people have said this. They give you a purpose, but not only that, but it's like, it's all the motivation you need.
That's it.
Because sometimes people are always looking for motivation, but what you really need is purpose.
That's right.
Because motivation is just the day, hey, I get up, I don't really want to do this. Hey, I'm gonna try to find a motivation, and I used to get up for the training for the marathon. I would go and watch the Nike ads. And I had one ad
get you
that
fired
just got
up.
get me fired up, But what really actually later on down in what I realized was that what really got me there was that, hey, I was actually raising money for a foundation, and there were people who gave
people
their harm,
behind you who believe in you and support you and are there to they got your back.
That was like, that's what really got me going. So sometimes like kids that is the purpose. Like you're like, what, you're having that 3-4 months that business is horrible, but you know what, can't quit because of the kids.
No, you gotta
can't.
Keep moving forward,
you gotta keep moving forward. And the same thing is with fitness. Like you just sometimes that's why I love putting like big goals. And like that marathon, like I kind of wish maybe after this I'll get myself back.
Hey, listen, man, that's right. You always got the possibilities are endless, right?
Yeah, but it's like when you have that big picture, it's like, no, I have to do it because what?
That's right.
I opened my mouth already, and people are behind me.
That's right. That's right.
You don't want to disappoint.
That's right. I mean, shoot, just think if you were training for an Ironman, you'd have to prepare 2 years out for an Ironman. You can't just show up to that. So, and I think that again, how we talked about that correlates to everything in life. It's not just today. It's not just tomorrow. You do want to focus on the now. The present is a present, right? So that's so important. Don't put too much stock in the past, and don't worry too much about the future. Know that those things are, are there and exist, and to have goals is great, but to focus on the things that really matter. But yeah, you got to have a game plan too. Got to have a game plan, and like you said, with children, they're right there, and I mean they're your heart, and they can. Continuously growing, right? So the communication is right. It's like the little baby versus the one who's like asking questions and giving you the hug and is inquisitive and all of that. So that's what makes that part so interesting, and that's why you have to continue to level up as a parent, as a husband, as a father, as a human. And then you have, and you mentioned with fitness. Fitness for me has always been like, what have you done for me lately? Like. It doesn't matter that I was an athlete, or it doesn't matter that I was, able to do had these many different skill sets across so many different sports. It's because that stuff goes away. How many NFL guys, how many NBA guys, how many Major League? You want to see look at where are they now stories, and it's just like, whoa, that's that guy. What happened? So like being relevant and staying in the mix for this long, for me is what it is all about. Because I have always kept in the back of my mind the longevity. If I'm blessed, and if that's what the big man upstairs wants for me, you know, we talk about longevity is the key. You know, you're in your 40s now?
Yeah, about to be 40.
About to be 40, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't get any easier.
Nah, it doesn't.
The higher you go, the harder it gets. And so instead of, you know, trying to find excuses, let's find some ways to create new results and reinvent ours. I mean, shoot, half the training that I do now is just to maintain mobility, bro. Like, it's not like the warm-up. The warm-up is like an hour.
So
now.
like you're gonna you're probably gonna yell at me and, you know, pull my ears, but I'm dealing right now with a hernia. Well, I think I had it back then.
The herniated disc?
Yeah, but it's just like, dude, now I'm telling you, like, I'm actually, so I should be working out more, but what I do in the mornings is like, I'll get up, I'll go downstairs to my office, and I'll just put like a yoga mat, and then just
You got your foam roller?
Yeah, foam roller.
Yep.
I'm doing like a stretching.
You got your dynamic stretches you're working in. Yep. That's got to be religion.
And you know why I do it? Pain. Because I'm dealing with pain.
You're managing it.
Yeah, I'm managing by that, because last year it was so bad with my back that all I was doing was taking Advil and taking at some point diclofenac and all these things.
Yeah.
And then I realized one day, it's like, boom, I got like blood pressure 180. And
it just creeps up on
and
you.
it just like, you know, like all of the sudden, then I'm taking blood pressure medication, and the doctor is, no, you can't be taking Advil all the
Life
time. You know?
before 40, life after 40,
it's like,
different, you know. I mean, they call that middle, whatever. Okay. I think that it can continuously get better. We talk about cognitive brain, right? We talk about mobility. We talk about the central nervous, because now I've gotten, not that the sports medicine stuff, exercise science stuff is important to me, but what I'm starting to understand now more as we age, right? All of the other physiological things that are taking place with the human body. So it's, you know, I just try to get a little more educated about it and apply those methods more than the days when you and I were training together. It was like, you know, we could take things for granted a little bit, because when you have youth, it's like you don't think much of it, but then you start to get, you know, a few miles on the odometer. And then another big factor there, I'll be honest with you, is nutrition. I know we came on the show to talk about a lot of things, but don't even get me started with that. And my wife, you know, she's very holistic with that.
Definitely, I'm interested.
Yeah, like inflammation. I mean, come on, like think about that for a second. You were just talking about blood pressure. That is affected by your dietary needs or lack thereof, or maybe there are things that shouldn't be going in. Inflammation, if you've got herniated discs, or if your knees are all your shoulder, you know, that stuff. What treatments are you, or holistic treatments or alternative forms of medicine are you using? We certainly like to try to stay more along the lines of holistic.
And what do you mean by holistic?
Holistic versus Western medicine. You know, what you can actually get from Mother Nature, what the earth provides you, and also what is in your food. Yeah. Because food can be toxic or it can be nurturing, right? It just depends on, you know, this.
So like some of, you know, inflammation, which is something, you know, there's some days that, you know, I play a stupid amount of golf, like way too much golf. And it's not about to brag, but it's like, that's what
like multiple rounds?
Yeah, like sometimes I'm like out there the whole day, you know. I'm there in 36 holes plus some.
Ooh.
And then,
but you use a car, or you walk in the whole thing?
But that's the thing. So like now I'm at this year, I cannot walk. Like I just have I'll walk and I'm just not gonna play well. And
it's going to affect your game.
It's going to affect my game. And then, you know, then my back flares up.
Yep.
So it's like, you know.
You see how it's a domino effect, right?
Yeah. Because right now, look, you know, you mentioned like how life changes. You know, back then when I was training with you, I care how I look. Now
it's less aesthetic and more health.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I don't give a shit how I look. I just want to feel like really good.
That's right. There's usually 3 reasons why people come to me. It's either for looks, which is aesthetic, performance, if you're competing, whether it be sport, life event, what have you, someone's getting married, I'm going to do a marathon. It's the off season and I'm training for rugby, football, basketball, whatever. But the most important one is your health. I don't care who you are or where you come from or what your background, genetics, all health first. And the things that that are affecting us now are because they were compounded for years. And now, as we start to, again, the aging process, it's just the reality of it. Father Time is undefeated, straight up. Doesn't matter, okay? By having children, you bought yourself another 100 years. Right? You'd be lucky if you could be. I want to be there for my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren. Yeah. That's what I'm training for now. Yeah. I want to be happy. I want to be healthy. I want to be functional, and I want to have a very high quality of life so that I'm able to enjoy those things. Down the road, you said it before, down the road, what does that look like? I got an idea for you. Paint a picture of what. You said you're 40 now. Paint a picture of what 50 looks like, 60 looks, or what you'd like it to be. Think about all, again, we met as not just from the training, but also you were very helpful and instrumental for me when I transitioned from corporate fitness into the private sector and opening up my own business. And I did that with you at Chase when I opened up the business account and all, and you guys had such great financial advice on how to move forward with that. And you and I have had so many conversations through the years, man to man, before women and children.
I remember seeing that ring, when you were over.
That's right. When I came to get that money, and I had to get them stones.
Yeah, you went, you got that money, and then just.
Well, I'm happy to report, Danilo. Yeah. Here we are, 12 years later, and it was a pretty good investment.
Yeah. Happy to report.
Don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? I mean, marriage, guys. It's
an investment.
You know what I'm saying? But I mean, love is love, right? And it's. But yeah, at that time, I'm like, it's like a dream. You know,
it's like I joke with my wife and with my mother-in-law, because sometimes I go like, listen, when I saw her, I was like, I mean, she's beautiful. I'm in love, but you know what? Things are gonna be pretty good. I have a good deal here. This makes sense.
Now you get it, and I can honestly say that since that time there are more diamonds around.
Yeah,
because it's just that ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah,
that's gonna hold you for a little bit.
Yeah,
okay, and then with certain milestones that come and go.
Yeah,
whether it be the birth of your child or like milestone anniversary years. There'll be more stuff. Yeah. More trips to the bank.
Yeah.
But you make a good point, man. Yeah. Wow, that's so funny. Yeah, man. And here we are again. We just celebrated 10 years last year. She's, again, she's the love of my life. And, she gave me my baby boy and, the wife, the kid, the house, the dog,
So
I'm very happy.
You can tell her when you see her, but I have a bunch of pictures. So I keep... I keep, for those of you who don't know, like I used to do photography, don't really do it anymore, but I'll keep, like, I have somewhat of an album of the pictures that I really like that I took. And one of them is her with London in the swing.
Oh, that's one of my favorites. And she's like this. And yeah. And then we did some climbing. We even went into the forest.
Yeah.
Sasha's there. He just learned to start climbing at that time. You got some of her and I by the fire pit in the house, all of us together by the wood burning stove. Yeah, that's the stuff that, we have those portraits forever. And that was a very special time. Yeah. So again, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. That's why I owed him a trip out here today. It came all across 2 rivers, a bridge and a tunnel. Yeah. Because the brother came up to the house to see me. He definitely came with you have an amazing eye. Yeah. And captured some very special moments for me and my family. So I appreciate you for that.
No, anytime. So going back to the inflammation part. So like if you're, I'm about to be 40, have a herniated disc. Honestly, what I feel like the only thing I could do is walk right now.
But even with that, you mentioned that when you're out on the course, what you need to do is you need to limit that. The same way that you train for your mileage on the marathon, where is the threshold right now? those intervals need to be timed. Then when you're not out on the course, so what? I mean, first of all, if you ask me, I think you're golfing way too much. Okay, that's a lot. But I respect your gangster. I understand that that's your jam, and you love it.
But it's getting, by the way, it's getting to the point where it's like, okay, you know what? Like, I'm not, I can't really do too much, and I don't enjoy it when I'm hurt there because I'm not really
you're not going to
well.
have any fun with it. How many tournaments has Tiger had to pull out of?
Yeah.
Because of back.
Yeah.
And you guys are rotating too.
Yeah.
The torque on that herniated disc. I don't know if you're left-handed or right-handed.
Right-handed. Yeah.
Okay, so which side of the spine is that disc? That herniated disc?
Yeah, so just right here. I mean, literally right now, it's like, okay, it's not bad, but the nerve is. You got the sciatica.
Yeah. It lets you know that it's So, yeah. So again,
like I play Saturday, and then Sunday cold, and it was just like a Monday morning. Yesterday, I was like, holy crap! Like, what the heck is this?
Yeah. It's always the post, right?
I mean, and they always tell you, okay, you got to work on your core, but what does that really mean? Like, I don't know.
What that means is to strengthen your core, and core or abs is not just the front side. It stands for abdominal and back system. So it's a 360-degree approach to the lumbopelvic hip complex, which is literally like take your spine between your rib cage and your hips and circumference that 360 degrees. That's your core. We're not just talking about here. We're talking about your lats. We're talking about your glutes. We're talking about your hamstrings. We're talking about your quads, because what you need to start to develop, what you want to focus on is stability first. If you have stability in all those big majors that I just mentioned, the glutes, think about how large the glutes are.
Yeah.
Think about the quads, how large they are. Okay, think about the lats, just those three right there alone. You strengthen those three bad boys up, okay? Continue to work on your flexibility, okay? Address the mobility issues that you're having, the inflammation issues that you have. Now, the inflammation stuff can either be, like I said, there's anti-inflammatory foods, which you can easily research, okay? There's also medicine that you can take for that too. Again, like I said, I'm a very holistic type.
Yeah.
So I get what I need in my food. I stay away.
Which, I mean,
okay.
that's what
this
I
is
have
what
to,
you want.
Yeah.
Okay, that's ideal. But again, some of us have different genetics. I would say if you wanted to go, like from the ground up, it's blood work first. Okay, physician. See your physician. Get your blood work. Blood work tells you everything that you need to know. Then you can start to determine, okay, omega-3s again, not to get too deep into, or even if I was just saying, I'm sure you've heard turmeric, ginger, those sorts of things that are anti-inflammatories. Then you have nightshades that can, actually trigger that. And you have to also understand that not all inflammation is bad inflammation. It's a defense system too. So like there's good and bad, but what you need is a system. Your body needs to be able to know the difference. So when you're overtraining or overdoing, that's when you're starting to that's what that pain essentially is, right?
Basically, hey, stop.
It's a protection. It's a defense mechanism, and usually there's some swelling involved. My knees, forget it. I played American gridiron football growing up through, from a child through into my teens, into my early 20s, into college, and I'm still paying for that.
Yeah.
A lot of a big part of my journey and how I got into sports medicine.
How did you get into it?
Because I tore both ACLs. They're gone. Okay, so hello, I'm like early 20s, and you have to understand, I played ball back in the 90s. That was a death sentence. It's not that we don't have the technology that we have than what we have today. Okay. And, again, trying to put myself through college and have an apartment off campus. Now, do I still want to play ball? Yes, I still want to play ball, but my knee's shot now, and I still got to get educated. I still got to keep a roof over my head, food on my table, and what are we doing here? Yeah, we got to get it going here. So, again, every kid has a dream. Yeah, I wanted to play pro ball, but that wasn't it for me. What it was this, again, turn a negative into a positive, said, okay, I'm injured, I'm down, I'm not out of the game, I can still rehabilitate this thing, and I still tried to get, back to that level again, but ultimately, with each year that passed, the realization was, okay, I still have such a passion for sports and such a passion for fitness, strength and conditioning, staying fit and staying healthy, being in tune with the physicians, what this surgery entails, what is it going to take for me to get back? And then that turned into getting into, again, exercise science and kinesiology and human anatomy. And then that turned into, oh, well, maybe my calling is being able to help others, taking what I've been through and translating that to, okay, I can now, I'm not going to lie to you, man. Like, that was a tough pill for me to swallow. It still is to this day.
Yeah.
You could probably see it on my face. It's just like, it's not something that I'm ever cool with, And I'm not even trying to push sports on my kid now. All I'm saying is, because I want what's best for him, but all I'm saying is that was a thing for me, Like that's what I was going for.
I mean, I think we all miss it, like part of the reason why I love golf and I keep on at it because I miss going back to when I used to play soccer. And then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, I went in another path. You know?
But and like you said, injuries are a reality. Like you can't control that. Nobody wants to get hurt.
Yeah,
it happens, and then it's not what happens to you; it's how you respond.
Respond.
Here's another one for you. You can't control the wind, but you can adjust the sails, right? Yeah. So you adjust the sails, and then I felt like this is the direction that I'm going to move in now, which still gave me the ability to be in the forum or in the arena, if you will, because of think about all the different people that I get to work with in so many different facets, whether it's...
And you're happy.
Yeah, and, that was sort of my saving grace. And now I'm in my 50s and I'm still playing. So most guys are not. So that's cool, and I think that's why maybe that chip early is what gave me that thing that wanted to keep going, even if it wasn't, at the pro level. But still was able to make it to London in 2012 for the Olympics.
I remember,
worked with all the collegiate athletes, D1, Ivy League, pros, again, and that's when the phone's ringing, that's who's calling, man. I mean, how we get down. So it's always top, high level, because
Are you getting a lot of like high schoolers? I know there's a lot of money right now in college.
Collegiate, I've got some guys, Syracuse, University of Chicago, Miami, USC, Stanford, and believe it or not, the remote coaching and the online training works really well for my college athletes. Yeah. Now, because they're on spring break now, but when they're not, and these are clients of families that are, typically, Upper West or Upper East Side, their kids are off to school. Clients that I've been working with for 20 plus years, and now I'm working with their kids. One of the coolest things I ever did was 4 generations in one session. It was a great grandfather. The great grandfather was 104. The grandfather was in his 80s. The son, my guy, he was in his 60s. His son, and then his son. It was like all of us together training, like one family. Yeah. Generations, that 4 down the line. That was a cool moment right there. And and again, the objectives shift over time. It's from what my mentality was in my 20s to where it was in my 30s to where it was in my 40s, and to where it is now in my 50s. I'll be 52 in May. And I mean, you
look great, and it looks like you feel great. Cause
I think it's important. Is like, would you go to a dentist who just had his whole front row was missing? Yeah. Like if he ain't had no teeth. Yeah. Right. So it is like the show and prove and the lead by example and what
this is your business. You got it.
And taking pride in that. And as you mentioned before, especially now with the little man and my wife and family, just trying to be that influence is so important.
So what's next for Chris Slate?
What's next? That's a good question. I mean, I try to smell the roses a little bit. You know, we love to travel. Just got back from Barbados. We'll be heading to Puerto Rico next month. Down in Miami a lot. I haven't been to LA in a little bit. Europe, Mediterranean. It's usually Mediterranean in the summer. It's the colder months here in the Northeast. We end up, Caribbean. So yeah, that's always been a real joy for me. So yeah, pulling back. And
it's hard with the kids,
Yeah, well, with family.
Yeah.
With family, we go, I mean, he's still a little, those long weekends, you look for, to navigate those.
Yeah, because I remember you guys used to just travel a lot when I
Just drop it, boom, go.
Like, where are you going? No, I'm going here. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, that was a really fun time. But then there's like you said, when the kids come, as not just when the kids come, because when they're little, you can still boogie a little bit, and they're on your watch. But now with school, it definitely has changed the game a little bit, and we've had to adjust. But that's part of the, that's part of the game, right? If you can't make adjustments, as you go, then
it's either you make them or somebody else forces you. They get made for you.
They get made for you. Yeah. So I think that's another thing. And I know that I'm using fitness a lot. And exercise, and the importance of that. I honestly don't feel like a day should go by where you're not focusing on something, whether it's to help or to heal. As you mentioned, if you're dealing with an injury or something and you're not able to go the way that you would really want to go, but when you're on top of your game, everything else just seems to move a little bit better, no?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think that at least for me, in this industry, in the mortgage industry, I'm always thinking, hey, how am I going to get better at my business? And it's not just about money or about making more money. It's really about like establishing something that is sustainable throughout any cycle. And when I talk to my partners and those people who work with me and really depend on me, up to a certain point, I'm always looking, hey, how can I make our lives better in the long run? The same thing with clients.
That's right.
Because life changes, and you have to be in a position, that in a strong position all the time. You always have to be ready.
Absolutely. And you've got to see it coming.
Yeah.
Positioning yourself is one thing, and then being ready and able and willing to adjust and for whatever the best possible scenario is, moving forward.
Which is, honest, and I've been so focused on the business lately, and which is the reason why I thought about you. I was like, oh man, Chris, because it's like my body now is telling me, hey, you let it go, man. Like you fucked up.
Yeah.
Especially with the kids. It's
but
like
you're making sacrifices.
Yeah.
As a husband, as a father, you're a provider, protector, provider. Like, you're making sacrifices for your family. And what we don't want over an extended period of time as you're getting older is to put your health in the back seat, because then what was all that hard work for then? You want to succeed and do well, but you don't want to miss time, quality time.
Everything...
Trying to find the balance, right?
Everything's... it's absolutely crazy how everything's kind of like the same. If you let your health go, if you don't pay attention to your health, eventually your body's going to tell you, hey, this is it. And sometimes it tells you in a way that there's no going back,
Right.
If your business, if you don't pay attention to everything about your business, eventually your business is going to tell you, no. And sometimes, somebody came in and took you out. So that's why, I thought about you and I was like, oh, I got to talk to Chris. I got to get you in here because it's fitness, health, business. Life tends to be just the same. And, it's like it's all a matter of staying in the present and also looking forward to the future.
That's right.
The past, yes, but not so much.
Well, we learn from,
Yeah.
there's good and bad with everything. And certainly more to be proud of and to be happy for what we've accomplished, but also anything that might, be bitter or what have you, that is just, fuel to do better moving forward.
Yeah.
So
before we wrap up, how can people find you? Like if there's someone out there that wants to hit you up, what's the best way?
Yeah, the best way to reach out, you can reach me at Slate Fitness NYC. That's SLATE Fitness NYC.com. Also on Instagram as well, Slate Fitness NYC. That's the best way to find me. Of course, you can always connect through my brother
I got
here.
his phone,
All right. But no, really, I do a little bit of a resident fitness expert for Sirius XM radio over at NYU, but I do it once in a blue. I have to be honest with you. You know me, I've always been more action guy. This right here is really not my thing. So thank you for pushing me to come here on your show and
I can't push you in fitness because there's nothing.
We can push each other in many ways.
Yeah.
We always have, and I know that we always will.
Yeah, and before again, this will be the last thing. I miss seeing you those days in the bank. I miss a lot of people there,
Me too.
But it's just
Me
like
too, man.
I always remember you coming in with your bike, leaving it there. It's like,
was that not the time, brother? That was a good time.
And back then you just don't realize it.
No, you don't. You don't. We appreciate it more now.
Yeah.
We didn't know how good we had it.
Yeah.
And now you look back and it was like, wow.
Well, the next 10 years is gonna be even better.
Absolutely, man.
Thanks a lot, bro. I really appreciate you coming, man. Thanks a lot, bro.